Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Actually got a guest on with me today. It's Steve Walker. You'll probably recognize him from the video that we did, the 25 best exercises for burning body fat. Say hello, Steve.
Delighted to be here, old chap.
So we just wanted to do something a little bit different today, something a little bit special. We've got a topic of discussion which you'll probably see from the title of the podcast. But first of all, we're going to start with why we started First Man and why we're involved in First Man and the kind of ethos behind it. Do you want to go first or?
Absolutely. So this is something I feel hugely passionate about. In fact, I talk on redefining what the alpha male is. Coming from being a kid that had eczema, asthma, allergies, being bullied, not having my first girlfriend until I was 19, and then realising that all these big tough guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sly Stallone, Van Damme that I looked up to as a kid, they always seemed to get the girl. And then one day I realised, going to my rugby club, that actually the guys that treated women not great seemed to be doing well. And I kind of went on this whole journey to become an alpha male in my 20s.
Yep.
Finally realising that actually being able to connect with people, being vulnerable in the right way, but also being physically strong, carrying yourself like a man, being powerful, is what being a man's all about. And I've worked with guys as a personal trainer for decades now. And it breaks my heart when I see guys that literally are part man, part handbag, or a divorcee that's basically had his nuts trampled on and has no confidence. And the reason I do what I do as a trainer, and the reason we're working together in First Man, is because I'm all about empowering guys just to be freaking the powerful heroes they're born to be.
Yeah, I agree. You've all seen the most recent podcast that we've done, talking about testosterone, talking about men not being who they used to be. That actually all came from discussions that me and Steve had a couple of weeks ago when we were filming all the projects. A lot more in the pipeline as well, guys, which we'll see coming up soon. But yeah, we've had that kind of thought process for a while, haven't we? That you know, although it's good to be a little bit more, could we say left wing in the modern era?
Yeah.
You know, a little bit more subtle than maybe our fathers, grandfathers, etc. were. But we can't lose the essence of masculinity, which is, you know, maybe having a bigger frame, maybe, you know, having controlled aggression, ambitious, competitive, you know, all these sort of traits have gone, especially in the modern era, and it's sad to see. So just touching on what Steve was saying, I think you guys know what my kind of thought process behind First Man is, but just to reinstate that, because I think it's important to do so. Very similar to Steve, that I want to help guys. I didn't have it all when I was younger. I'm 27 now. I still don't believe I have it all. I want more. I'm always striving. But especially when I was younger, who do you really turn to? You know, dad didn't live in the home. You know, mum's doing the best she can, couple jobs, you know, and you just kind of left to fend for yourself, and you're trying to look for male role models everywhere you go. And sometimes you make the wrong decision. I know you said about you know, trying to be an alpha male young. I went through all that as well. There's some good traits to being an alpha male, but I think the kind of identity's been screwed up a little along the line. You know, where a lot of guys make it about getting drunk, sleeping with as many women as you can. So it's a real shame.
Well, you know, absolutely. And this is the whole term that's being bandied around with toxic masculinity. We live in a world now where you can say what you like, as long as it doesn't offend somebody, as long as it's kind of going with the general status quo, which I think you and I would both agree is designed to kind of homogenise the human race. It's designed to turn us all into this kind of asexual man-woman creature that just gently goes along and doesn't, gently goes along, doesn't do anything like speak loudly or lift heavy weights, or it's just all very, very vanilla, you know. And I can't stand that. Because most of my clients come to me broken men, like I say, they're terrified of their own genitalia. That's not actually true, but they're scared to be a man, and they're scared to act like a man because of the stigma that's now attached to it. They're told that everybody's on a spectrum. You're not a man or woman, you're on a spectrum, and somewhere along it, and gender fluid, all this stuff, and we just lost our way. And actually, I've seen the guys that lift the weights when they hadn't done before. I've seen them carry themselves better, puff their chest out, walk down the street and find that doors open to them that used to be closed. The people treat them with respect, and they can walk into that office and they get a promotion because the boss sees something different about them. But not only that, but people listen to them and respect them. I've been in bars when people walk up to me in a really busy bar and someone go, "Oh, excuse me, mate, is it okay if I take the chair?" And I don't think anything of it. And then my little brother, actually, who's quite a skinny lad, said to me, what the hell is that about? That doesn't happen to me. He said, when you're a big guy, he said, the world just treats you differently. And I never thought about that. And then another one of my clients did the same thing to me. And I thought, you know what? The world is a nicer place when you carry yourself like an alpha male, when you look the part.
Agreed. Something so simplistic as a chair as well, but it makes such a difference to your life when all these things add up. You know, your day could go from bad to good.
Yeah.
Obviously not in one day, but if you weren't training 6 months ago and then 6 months later you are training, you know, your day can be entirely different just because of the size you are. And it's, you know, guys are, they are drawn to guys that are big in shape, etc., who have got that inner built confidence where they feel good in their own skin. I don't actually like that phrase, but it does hit home. It is true.
Yeah.
Just to finish off on why I'm involved in First Man, it's all of those reasons plus hundreds more. I just want to provide as much content as possible for men out there that wasn't available when I was growing up. You know, it was very much the game, how to pick up women, how to attract tens without trying, how to be aloof, you know.
Yeah.
And I get that in a sense of toxic masculinity. I'm not on board with all those terms, but in that sense, I'm like, yeah, this can't be helping anybody. So we kind of want to do it in a ethical way. We want to have the right ethos behind the brand. You know, here's a perfect example. We don't want to send you out there to just be some dog on heat, sleeping with every woman you can find.
Yep.
We want to build you up to be the type of man who's so great and who is so confident in their own life and who's achieved so much that women will come to you naturally. It's like the quote I said to you the other day: don't chase what you want. Build yourself up to be a certain person so that what you want chases you.
Love that. Really like that. Yeah, but actually Gandhi said one of my favourite sayings, which is be the change you want to see in the world. And I think that boils down to what I'm all about with this channel. Again, I've done the toxic masculinity. I've gone from the shy kid to the old school alpha male that treated women like crap, that shagged everything that moved, that was a stripper, that was a security guard, that did the reality TV shows, tried to get the fame, and it made me freaking miserable and disconnected. And in the last few years, realising that actually having that vulnerability to emotionally connect with people, to lead men because you show that you care about them, but at the same point, keeping those masculine traits that make you a natural leader. And that's the secret, and that's what it's all about.
I agree. And one thing we're massive believers on, Steve will agree, is that Steve does a lot of these talks where he goes out and speaks in front of men, and you know exactly what he's telling you right now. He'll do let's say a scripted, or would it be top of the head kind of speech to guys out there?
It varies. Sometimes it's a panel discussion, just kind of ad-libbing. Sometimes it's something I've prepared that I felt I need to share.
With a message, so he goes out and does these speeches, and so many guys come up to him afterwards and ask, you know, how do I raise testosterone? How are you so confident, etc., etc.
Yeah,
and he says so many people go up on stage, because there's other people at these talks, and they'll talk about how you need to, you know, tap into your spirituality, how you need to, you know, maybe do counselling, you know, all these other aspects of life, etc. And you know, how you need to feel proud in your own job and whatnot. And we actually get slightly, although all these things are great, you know, we're not knocking them, we get slightly annoyed that the gym isn't mentioned, because, you know, don't get me wrong, we're not trying to get everybody to be a giant roid head, but I truly believe without the gym, everything else falls apart. I think it's the catalyst. I think if you get up early in the morning, 1-2 hour session, whatever you can fit in, even if it's half an hour, you feel better for the rest of the day. I think that's undeniable. I think that's, you know, nobody can doubt that. If one day you get up and you train, the next day you don't, the difference in mood is enormous.
Yeah, and you know, I think this is absolutely right. And there is this whole kind of field of empowerment now, which is great, which is fantastic if done right. And people read books such as The Secret, which is a fantastic book, but they end up sat in a corner, meditating, visualizing and focusing on what they want to happen. But they don't embrace the law of action attraction, which is physically getting out and getting it. But to actually go out and make things happen, you need to increase your testosterone levels. You need to increase your energy levels. So if you feel like a sack of potatoes, guess what? Nobody wants to be around you. People are going to avoid you like the plague. And you're going to find it very hard to win friends and influence people. You're not going to want to smile. And you're not actually going to care about other people. The interesting thing is, when I run through the forest, it's always junk food wrappers I see. Because people that don't respect themselves, don't respect other people.
Yep.
So you have to start by respecting yourself. Pull your shoulder blades back, stand in that alpha posture, get your testosterone levels up, you're going to feel good. You're then going to go out, you're going to smile, and you're actually going to start showing interest in other people, which means you then become more likable, and then through that process it affects everything else and you start to become successful. But you have to start by changing physiology first. And if you forget that and sit in a room and visualize and plan and goal set and all this stuff till you're freaking blue in the face, but you don't get off your ass, get your testosterone pumping, get those powerful alpha male, God-given hormones coursing through your veins, then it ain't gonna work.
And we know not everybody, has the same viewpoint, guys. Not everybody's the same, but we want to challenge you to try. If you doubt the process, get out there, have a little schedule. It takes 21 days to build a habit. Give yourself a month to be brave. And just get out there every day, 5 days a week, say it'd be a good schedule, if you can start with less, then whatever, that is your schedule if you haven't got time, but try and do 5 days a week, just Monday to Friday, and see how you feel, see if other areas of your life feel better, because I know myself, if I don't hit the gym for 2-3 days, suddenly Netflix becomes appetizing. Suddenly going to the movie theater and sitting there with a box of popcorn is the best idea in the world. But if I've hit the gym, I'm going to have a smoothie, I'm going to work on my business, I'm going to record 2 podcasts, I'm going to get my ass down the gym today with you and do this when, I could be back home eating food.
and this is a really interesting point actually. It just made me realise. In the past, when I felt crap, when I felt low, maybe I've been out drinking every other night and I feel hungover, I don't want to listen to energetic, awesome, inspiring people, the kind of people that really are getting ahead in life, because they make me feel crap about themselves.
Yeah.
But if I know I've taken action and I'm looking after myself and I feel physically good, then I find it naturally, again, like that junk food, that my brain wants the good stuff. So it's quite interesting.
It's infectious, right?
It's massively infectious, yeah.
Definitely. So getting into the core of the podcast for today, we thought we just wanted to get that out there, give you guys the ethos of the brand, tell you what's coming. I know there's been a fair few fitness projects, we're going to bridge out and do everything eventually, but we just wanted to let you know that fitness will be at the core of everything that we do, because we believe it's at the core of everything that men do. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of the foundation of what men are built on and what I believe First Man should be built on. So, but bridging over to what we're talking about today, it's very interesting actually, because Steve is 10 years older than me. Not that he's an old man. He looks fantastic, as you can all see. He's in better shape than me. He's got more hair than me. He's got more hair than me. He's in better shape than me. But I've had a concept for a while that you guys have probably seen, that men peak later in life. And that's what's fantastic about me and Steve, is I'm 27, he's 10 years old, he's 37, and he's kind of at where I want to be. And it just brings together the whole ethos and the faith that I have in that belief that I've told you guys a few times before. When you see somebody who is where you're at, he's in the shape I want to be in, he's making the big moves right now, it isn't just, everything will be great when I have this and when I have that, I'm putting this in place, give it another 2-3 years. Like, he's already at that position where things are going well, and he's got the resources, to keep it modest, to be able to push the boat out and do any idea he comes up with, he's able to do within a couple of days. So he can come up with an idea one morning, by the end of the week it's executed, it's done, it's paid for, it's put out there, and I'm still in the growing process, which is it's nice to see that Steve's in that position. So many of you have probably seen the title of the podcast, which is, do men peak later in life? So the short answer is yes, but we're not going to end the podcast there. It bridges more around how you get there, and that's why I wanted Steve on this podcast today. Because as much as you can say, okay, men peak later in life, you're going to get there eventually, men peak at 36, it's not enough to just sit around and just think about law of attraction, visualize things and just hope for the future, because you're never going to get there if you do that. But we wanted to speak about kind of the steps of, achieving that goal, or the multiple goals that you have, and more importantly, taking action now to benefit when you're older.
Yeah. So I think it took me a long time. So the teens are all about just kind of trying to figure out what your life's all about. Your 20s are then about working your arse off trying to prove yourself. And then you get to that point when you're 29 and 364 days and you're like, right, I didn't make my £1 million. I turn 30 tomorrow. You know, I don't have 3 or 4 smoking hot girlfriends. I didn't achieve everything I needed to, and that's okay, because the clock ticks, you become 30 and you carry on. And then you almost kind of take a bit of pressure off yourself. And because you've got that maturity, you've kind of gone through the different experiences, you then realise that actually it's time to stop being a pussy about life and focus on what you're passionate about. And for me, that was really kind of creating a connection with people and actually leading men, and leading men specifically who had dealt with stuff that I'd always dealt with, and realising that actually I was 4, 5, 6 steps further along the path and that I could actually help these people. And then because I no longer had that needy energy, give, I've got to take, I started just focusing on creating value, and I found that just doors opened, that I made the connections, money started coming in and things just started to happen. And then because I was doing it from a different energy, I found out you start attracting more people like that into your life, and just, you know, different business opportunities come up. And now just feeling like I'm killing it, you know?
Invincible.
Well, yeah, feeling pretty good. But actually, the weird thing was, at 30, which is the age that a lot of people say that your testosterone levels start to die down.
Yeah.
I just started eating as a natural bodybuilder eats, and I got a natural bodybuilding mentor, eventually winning a British title a couple of years later. And I spoke to a guy in the gym who's on all the steroids and the growth hormones, and he's 31. He's saying to me, well, you know what, once you get past 30, your hormones start decreasing and you have to take something. And I was like, you know what, nonsense. Because in my head, I'm a freaking beast. And I don't mean this in an arrogant way. When I walk in the gym, I walk in like I own it. And because I stand like a beast, I think like a beast, I carry myself like a beast, my testosterone levels stay high. They're congruent with how I see myself. And then I train accordingly as well, which makes a massive difference. And I'm 37 now, and I feel stronger, and I'm in better shape, and I find it easier to get lean than I ever did before. But not only that, the blessing of being a man.
Do you think the whole testosterone thing that, it starts to drop by 1% after the age of 30, I think it's 40, but some people say 30, etc. Do you think that's more modern stigmas because of the way we're living now? Because I think the data's been taken incorrectly. I think it's a logical fallacy. I think it's like, people in the modern era are a lot more lazier, we sit a lot more, we have sedimentary lives and jobs, so testosterone's going to drop quicker. So they look at the data and then go, that's everybody. And you're like, but I feel great. Yeah. So, you know, and it's not that you're an exception to the rule, it's that you're actually normal and everyone else is abnormal.
I think you're spot on. And in fact, I know you produced a fantastic video recently explaining all the 50 different ways to increase your testosterone, which
in the course, awesome. Yeah, which you can buy, guys. We'll leave the link in the bio for the course, which you can get, and the video is a couple before this, so you can take a look for that.
But I, having been in the testosterone making men stronger business for 15 years, I'm ashamed to say I didn't even know one of the things you mentioned, like fluoride, and, you know, and there's 50, 100 other things that are obviously screwing with our testosterone that we're getting. So by the time we've got to 30, maybe accumulatively, we've taken in so much crap that our hormones are going down. But let's imagine this. What I say is that, okay, let's say from 30 your testosterone levels naturally drop by, let's say it is 5% a year. Now this isn't a figure, guys, but this, let's just say hypothetically, it drops by 5% a year, okay? But if you go into the gym and you train like a beast and you get 8 hours sleep and you get your nutrition on point, your testosterone goes up by 20%. Now, I'm no Carol Vorderman, but by the end of the year, you've got a total increase of 31, you're up 15%. And you do the same thing next year. I met a guy called Pete who was 82 years old and had a six-pack. And he started lifting weights at 50. Natural bodybuilder, wow. No growth hormones, and he's old school, this dude. He didn't use all the supplements and all the rest of it. He literally just good diet, training like a beast, living a healthy lifestyle.
I thought you were going to tell me that he was always in shape. He was a sportsman before that or something.
No,
that's
even better.
Incredible to start training at 50.
Yeah.
They won't know who Carol Vorderman is. It's,
well, I forget Carol. Show me age now. Yeah.
No, it's not that they're too young. It's that most of them are American.
All right, fair enough.
She's basically just a woman that was on a TV show
called Countdown.
Yeah, you can search it. She was nice back in the day. Yeah. She actually had some surgery done. She looks really nice.
For a cougar, she's not too bad, is she?
Not that we encourage surgery.
No.
If you look that good, we do. Just to touch on the point you said earlier about coming at your goals from the wrong angle.
Yeah.
You know, which you found in your 30s. You found a better angle, right? which I can see now is coming from a great place, because that's what you always talk about. Everything that we do, every video we make, you know, every time we're planning out, you're like, yeah, Chris, but, you know, fuck the money. We've got to do this for blah, 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 right? And it is fantastic to hear, especially in this era where everyone's money orientated, just greedy as hell. What do you think it was that went wrong in the 20s? Why do you think so many guys fuck up when they're younger? And, you know, and they don't have that kind of the right mindset, and when does that change?
And this is a really interesting question. For me, I'm a child of the 80s. Now, anyone that's brought up in the 80s knows the mentality. You know, films like Wall Street, you know, the whole money never sleeps, the kind of pushing it harder and harder. The 80s was all about doing more. Having you know, when the first mobile phone came out in the car, driving along, still hustling the business.
What was
doing
it?
More.
Greed is good?
Greed is good. Greed is good. Push it to the limit. And in fact, all the action stars that I ever saw growing up as a kid, as much as they created some good, strong male role models in the physical part, it was more about being a one-man army. Do everything yourself. You can do it. You can do it. Push, 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 push. I lived that mantra in my 20s.
Rambo,
Clint
Eastwood,
exactly.
Rocky, just running through Russians.
Yeah, exactly. So I lived that life in my 20s, and ended up being emotionally burnt out at the age of 30. Had the hot girlfriend, had the great physique, but again, I was kind of suppressing my ability to emotionally connect with people. I was always about push harder, 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 harder. You shouldn't feel anything as a man. You know, you shouldn't feel anything like emotions. I wanted to be the T-2000 Terminator, basically. So I think that was the kind of toxic thing. And actually, it wasn't until I realised, actually, almost just relax, realise where your strength lies, realise what you're good at, and actually just focus on creating value in the world, rather than what can I take, what can I give. And it's that kind of principle of reaping and sowing that started to pay off, really.
These guys will want to see the picture of the hot girlfriend. They'll be interested.
She's a smoke show. By the way, for anyone in the States, she looks a lot like Meghan Markle, who I think was in Suits. She's like a cross between Meghan Markle and Angelina Jolie, so not exactly a minger.
Not bad.
Yeah, but sadly she wasn't for me.
She didn't make the cut.
She had the looks, but just, she done my head in.
The mindset was wrong.
Oh yeah.
So for a lot of guys who might be listening to this now, who are maybe, below the age of 25, and we're telling them, look, you will peak at 36, 37, etc. As long as you put the work in now, what sort of things, so that they can make sure of that, what sort of things can they be doing now to get there?
Okay, so what we've spoken about before, which is posture. It's been proven for research that when people stand shoulder blades back, head up, chest up, naturally your testosterone levels will increase. So the way you carry yourself is a massive thing. Another thing you can do is the type of training you do, making sure you do these big compound resistance movements. They'll ramp your testosterone levels up. Getting enough sleep. Sadly, guys, booze is a killer for testosterone. So cutting your booze down is going to be a massive thing. What else can we do? Too many different things. I mean, your nutrition, making sure your diet, your food's on point is fantastic.
So yeah, covered a few good areas there. So in that's all very much in the sense of maintaining aging gracefully, I guess. Body language, etc. Just building that original foundation. Yeah. What would you say in terms of success? Because I know you're a big advocate. We were saying just before this, you're a big advocate of work-life balance. Of not maybe doing 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and burning yourself out, and maybe just like scheduling yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, so it's interesting. A few years ago, I read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, which a lot of people have read, by Tim Ferriss. Great book. And it planted the seed of getting more done in less time. Most of us, we procrastinate, we rush around doing 1,000,001 things. We make to-do lists with 15 things on, but those aren't really important tasks. So it's working out what the priority is. It's also realising that actually play to your strengths. There'll be certain things that you're really good at. There's certain things that you can leverage. The 80-20 rule principle that, we make 80% of our money and 20% of our time. It's cutting out that 20% of the clients that cause you all the grief and don't bring in any money. And then it's realising the value of what you provide. So I do, on the surface of it, I'm a personal trainer. But do I actually train people, or do I deliver increased confidence, increased testosterone, longer life, increased sex appeal, whatever, and actually realising, okay, right, it's about creating results from someone else. one of my favourite quotes, Zig Ziglar, which is, I believe you can get anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah.
And anyone smashing it, anyone successful has figured out a problem, figured out how to solve it, and realised that they've got a unique set of skills that they can leverage and do that.
That's interesting because you said, you know, helping other people to get what you want, right? And it's coming from an unselfish point of view. So would you say that, you know, a lot of people in their 20s, touched on the question kind of that we said earlier,
Yeah.
but, you know, a lot of people in their 20s, it's coming from an ego-driven state where they, you know, I want the fast car, the women, the money, the penthouse, and just expecting it to get given to them because they want it and they're visualizing it, rather than, you know, saying, in order to get what I want in life, I'm going to have to provide value and give back to others. Because we get, you know, you don't get money from trees, you don't get money from a wall, do you? Like, who's paying you? People are paying you. So it's every money transaction is a person to another person. So you kind of have to provide value or encourage enough other people to give you, you know, what you want in exchange, which in this situation would be money, right?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think actually the value that you receive, as we know, is proportionate to the amount of value you put out in the world. So if you can help 10 people, you get paid this much. If you can help 1,000 people, you're going to get paid a lot more. But if you can help 1,000 people solve a really big problem, so it's the size of the problem you're solving, the scale of the problem you're solving, and the amount of people, and that's how you get rewarded. It really is that simple. So I think people that want to get money quick, why should you have the money? Why shouldn't the guy down the road that's creating massive value for loads of people, why shouldn't he get the money? And it's that simple. And you look at we're in the age now of influencers. And the reason influencers are making loads of money, because, okay, you might see them on their Instagram page and they're chucking out this workout video and you're thinking, right, they've got 1 million followers, but why have they got 1 million followers and why are they making loads of money for this tiny, might be a crappy little video they're chucking out? Because they're servicing 1 million people and they're helping them just a little bit, or they're creating content or something that everybody can get something from and relate to, and that's why they can command such money. So that's, especially the world we live in now, it's all about just getting out there and realising that you can help and inspire and change people's lives. And if you can do that, and if you can do it in a way that nobody else can, find a problem that you can solve that nobody else out there is doing it, and that's how you get the money.
Mm-hmm. In terms of structuring, because me and you actually said, didn't we, before this, that the problem in the modern era is there's so much to do, right? There's so many different social media platforms, there's so many variations of content. You think to yourself, where the fuck do I start? You know, and when do I start? And it gets confusing, right? So where would you say to people to kind of, you know, where to begin, how to structure their day? Maybe just like from, you know, waking up till the end of the day on, let's say, a Wednesday, so it's not like, you know, a weekend, a Friday, Mondays, you know, they're always different. They shouldn't be, but they're always different. You know, obviously you need your family time, friends time on a Saturday and whatnot, but, you know, let's say it's a Wednesday, you've just woken up, what's the structure of the day to get the most out of your day and, you know, achieve?
Nice. So I'm going to answer this, and first I want to apologise because I didn't really answer your last question properly, which was why I structured my life. Which was why I structured my life in such a way. So I'm going to quickly come back to that. Then I'm going to come back into Chris's next question. So I decided a few years ago, having been the trainer guy that works 7 days a week, every single hour he could, and if he wasn't doing something, he'd be doing something else, and burnt out, and just like a hamster caught in the old rat race, caught in a wheel, never getting anywhere, but more importantly, not taking a holiday for 4 or 5 years and having panic attacks, and realised that, sod that, I've got to start looking after myself. So I took the bold move and decided this next year, I'm going to have 1 long weekend in the sun every single month. I'm going to have 10 days away every 3 months, and in 2 weeks, once a year. So I did that, and the strangest thing happened. I was away on the beach and I'm getting clients call me up. And I wasn't pushing to get clients, but it was that energy change and I was more relaxed. And then of course, when I came back to work, I was genuinely loving the job that I was doing, which came across that people wanted to be around from me, people wanted to buy from me because I wasn't burnt out. And I actually did kind of push less hard and got a lot more for it. So that was really interesting. But going back to the second one about my daily routine. So I always go for a run every morning, with certainly 5-6 days a week. The alarm clock goes off, I get up, down a glass of water just to hydrate the body, which really gets you moving. And then I have a little double espresso. I've got my Nespresso machine, put a little pod in there. I have a grapefruit, which, just so you know, helps with your fat burning. A couple of my bodybuilding mentors told me that. I go for a run. And when I'm running, I'm listening to an audiobook. So I might be listening to Zig Ziglar, I might be listening to Tony Robbins, whatever it is. And that fires my brain up. By the end of the run, I'm buzzing. In fact, I have to stop myself stopping to make a little motivational video, because it's like, actually, yes, I want to put this video out, but really, am I procrastinating not to finish my run? And I get back and I'm fired up for the day after that.
Yeah, it's so important. The one thing I picked up on what you said there was that you went for a run, but you were listening to a podcast, right? So, you know, there's 10 years between me and you. I don't want to keep going on about it, buddy. There's 10 years between me and you. I'll just say it one more time. There's 10 years between
I've got more hair than you, that's right.
I had a disease there. But, you know, there's going to be people listening to this that are maybe close to 20 years younger than you, 10 years younger than me, right? Yeah. And a lot of people say that life's so busy, we've got so much going on, so many distractions, etc. And you think to yourself, well, you know, you're up early. Number one, you're already seizing the day. Yeah. Right? Number two, you've gone for a run, but instead of listening to music that you can listen to 1,000,000 times a week, you know, you've listened to a podcast. So you're doing two things at once, which I think is just utilizing all that time. So, you know, you're educating yourself, or maybe changing your mindset in some way. Plus, you're getting in shape. Plus, you're up early and seizing the day. There's three things, and you've eaten well that morning. Yeah. So you've just moved your life forward on 4 different fronts. Technically, a few are the same, but I guess diet and fitness is like different, because it's health and fitness. You know, it's 2 different things. So you've moved yourself forward on 4 different fronts. Whereas, you know, you might get somebody who's maybe going for a run, but they're just listening to music. They haven't eaten well either. You know, so it's not so much just about, oh, you have to do these things. With the modern world that we're in and how hectic it is, maybe you have to do them all together to make the most of the time.
You just hit upon something that I completely agree with. You absolutely nailed it there. Because I'm all about the concept of stacking.
Yeah.
I have my cleaner come in once a week, because I worked out for the 3 hours that she comes, that I could generate a lot more money than what the hours that I would lose. Basically, I pay her 30 quid. Whereas I would spend 4 hours doing the same work. So it makes more sense to pay the cleaners to do it, because, you know, my time's worth more than that. I also realised that I could order my food delivery when she's there. So I come home to a fully stocked fridge. So that's another way of doubling it up. Again, saving time and money, being more efficient. My food, I bulk prep the food. So I have the same stuff every week pretty much, so it's really easy to do. And that makes a huge difference. Again, as you say, listening to the audiobook while you run is a big thing. And actually, training-wise as well, some of the workouts, if you want to really get a result, you've got to stack many things together. And I think you're absolutely right. To get any result on anything, really the most efficiently, it's about doing multiple things at the same time. And that doesn't mean multitasking. It just means when you add one thing to another thing and another thing, it really kind of grows it up.
Then you've got the compound effect, you know, because you do think over 10 years, like what sort of business could you build? What sort of shape could you build? If you tried to learn every language, you know, under the sun in a 10-year period, I think if that's all you did, you'd probably get pretty close, right? Yeah. So just being able to utilize that time, you know, it's just a little 10-year period from, let's say, 20 to 30. There's guys out there listening now, and they're thinking, I'm in the middle of nowhere, I've got no hope, nothing's going well, I don't really know what to do. But, you know, just getting started and just saying, I'm just going to stack my time and make the most of it. So instead of watching TV, you're going on a run, you listen to a podcast, you tick 2 boxes. Yeah. You get home, you know, you're cooking healthy food. While it's cooking, you're reading 10 pages of a book. Do you see what I mean? It's like filling those gaps with something useful and always thinking, could I be doing more? And then when you do need that rest day, you're not going to feel guilty. I feel as though people who don't take rest days, who work 7 days a week, are either, you know, obsessed with their craft and they love it, which is fair enough, you know, which is, you know, I don't think is that advised. I do think having a break is nice, because like you said, you come back with a stronger energy, and sometimes you actually get better results.
Absolutely.
But then you've got the other side of the coin where, you know, I think people who have used their week properly feel as though they deserve that day off. I've always thought, when I've done 4 or 5 days at the gym and I've had great sessions and I'm looking good, if I take a day off and have a cheat meal, I feel 100% fine about that.
Yeah,
absolutely
why not?
Fine.
Absolutely.
You know, go out with the missus, go and you know, pop to the cinema, no problem, because I know I've done everything and more that I could have done that week in the time period that I had. So, you know, it is about that balance as such. But I think using those, you know, thinking about life in a, that's one reason why we did this today, is thinking about life in a longer section, because a lot of people, sadly, some people live day to day due to poverty, which isn't always their fault. Some people live week to week because they're getting maybe a factory paycheck or something, which again, is fine. And then you've got most people in the world living month to month, just paycheck to paycheck, and they're just visualizing next month I'm going to be in shape. Next month, you've got to have patience, guys. You've got to have so much patience. You've got to think about life in larger blocks. So that's why I keep saying, I'm 27, Steve's 37, look what he's accomplished in that little bracket. There might be some of you listening today who might be 17 and you're thinking about me being 27 and maybe thinking I'm old. So that's another 10-year bracket. And you've got to make these plans and strategies as like a longer stretch, and don't go, okay, next year I'm going to be in shape. It's going to take 3 to 5, and that I think it's important to know that it's going to take a little bit longer, to be patient. And that's why we say men peak at around in their like mid-30s. Science has proven this, because not only is it encouraging, but it gives you a longer term goal, which makes the results easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to the thing you said earlier, actually, about the whole stacking and productivity. There's a book called, or there's an idea called Kaizen, which is a Japanese art. I think they stole it from the Americans, but whatever way, it's the idea of continuous personal development, and this works by making little changes, so you don't feel like you're too far out your comfort zone and rebound, and continue with them little by little. And I think that's the thing. If you are listening to this, guys, and you're worried about trying to do too many things at once, just make one habit, build that habit, and then as time goes by, you'll increase, and that'll get better and better.
Yeah, I think looking at the clock, I think it's been about an hour or close to, which was a shock. We said 15 minutes, didn't we?
We did.
Quick little one.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good note to end on. I think there's, hundreds of nuggets in there that people can take with them. I think we embodied what we were trying to achieve today, with the ethos, and then telling people how to move forward, maybe using those longer term brackets, etc. So I'd be happy to call that a day. Just to inform you guys, like we said, the link will be down below for the testosterone course if you find that interesting. We think it's amazing value for money. It's every single component that you can have to raise your testosterone in this modern era. That I guarantee you 90% of the things on that list you wouldn't have known before, probably wouldn't have even thought about or heard about. So that's something that you can get your hands on. Obviously, we've got the website. You can have a look at the website. There's a lot more content on there, written content. A lot of the videos will be on there. We're going to keep uploading all the time. We've also got, which we're extremely excited about, me and Steve are going to be doing more podcasts, etc. in the future, but the one thing we're most excited about is the show that's coming up. We're going to do
amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be awesome.
When we pull this off, I keep thinking if, but I know
there
when.
There is no if.
There is no if. We're going to do a Top Gear style show, the Grand Tour, if anybody's a little bit younger and they haven't seen, the old version of Top Gear. Where, we get guests on the show, we do podcasts, we also do videos, we do challenges, maybe like a documentary blended in as a part 1 and part 2, and just cover multiple areas in one or 1.5 hour long show, and just kind of change the face of YouTube forever. Instead of trying to chase after Netflix or trying to chase after MTV and be like, we've got a show, can you put this out for us? We're just going to create something for men for free, with the idea of just providing good quality information, as we discussed on here, and just see where it goes. And if it blows up, it will be thank you to you guys. So I think that'd be a great note to end on. You want to add anything else?
No. All I can say is, did an event recently called Manxiety, and I realised how many guys there are out there that need help. And it's not saying that I'm better than anyone here. Chris or I don't think we're better than anyone, but we've been able to help people in certain ways, and it makes us feel great. We get a huge boost out of this, and I'm really excited to work with you guys in the future and just spreading the word and just helping more people get that testosterone and feel good. Do
you want to tell them about your Spanish, what would it be, Spanish conquering?
So, very exciting. So I'm opening a gym, taking over a gym in Spain in January, and we're going to actually be doing our first boot camp at the end of Jan, which is specifically for men, and it's going to be a 90-day program about increasing testosterone, building muscle, just feeling great, but with that kind of team mentality, really, all the best aspects that I had with my rugby team kind of growing up. And I'm just super excited because I've been able to do it on a one-to-one basis with hundreds of people over the years, seeing great results, but not everyone can afford to do my 12-week one-to-one program. So it's nice to be able to create something and different levels of things, some of it completely free, some of it slightly paid, that everybody can get involved with. I'm super excited to see the results we get for that.
Yeah, it's great news. I'm buzzing for you, buddy. Can't wait to see the
Thanks,
results.
buddy.
And I hope I get a flight out there in the sun.
I'm sure that will be arranged. Yeah.
But that'll be it for today, guys. We're not going to tell you to like, comment, and subscribe. I hate that shit. We want this to grow naturally. Tell us your honest opinions of stuff. We don't mind. It helps us grow. And thank you for coming on, Steve. Hopefully this is the start of many, many more podcasts, you know, with the show coming up and everything. Hopefully this is the start of everything exploding. And thank you so much, guys. We'll speak to you soon.